That's a little toolbox.
Yeah, I know.
Have a fish soup?
No, my dear, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very
in Market Street, and she told them that she overheard two Brecon talking, and one of them said, "We shot a bloody parcel last night." And then a night later, another girl, Christy Rollins, and she overheard one of them saying, "The parcel was in the box." So definitely the authorities knew. That was Thomas Ford, and they denied that the authorities had any evidence of her. And the day before Griffith's funeral, there was two bishops, an archbishop, 150 priests, and 12,000 people kneeling on the road in the streets outside. The cortege moved through the streets. The RSC, the removed their caps, stood with interest and saluted the cortege as it passed. It was the taking of their burial. It was a neat and the water to the city. One of the process was here.
It just says there, home of the original lottery. Huh?
버스를 회차하질 않나. 버스를 탔더니 내릴 정거장을 놓치질 않나. 그래서 이렇게 전망대를 걸어가고 있어요.